So this AI powered photo retouching software is almost perfect for photographers and retouchers, and even those with zero retouching experience. Let me show you. So to start editing in Aperty, you can just click here to create a new project, or you can just drag and drop a photo or a folder in Aperty like this. So there are so many editing tools in here, so both basic and advanced. I'll show you some of them, but first let's start with my favorite, the retouch here. Okay, so let me just zoom in here a little bit, Control or Command plus on the keyboard. So on top here we have people. This feature is coming soon. I'm using a beta version of Aperty. In the version that you are going to download, I think this feature will be available. Let me just close this one here. We have the blemish removal here. Let me just take this slider all the way to 100 and then we'll wait for it to apply the effect here. Okay, so this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. We are going to skip this because she doesn't have the flaccos. For the details, I'm going to leave it at 100%, and then I'm going to move to the skin smoothing here. I'm going to take this all the way to 100 like this. So this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. I feel like the effect is just too much for my liking. I want it to look as natural as possible. So I'm going to take the skin smoothing to maybe 60%, maybe somewhere here. This is the before, this is the after. I think this is okay. So let's move to the details here. If I take it to 0, I'm removing the details. I'm going to take it to maybe 70%. This is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. So if I want to correct the skin color of my model, I'm going to move this slider just a little bit, this side, to maybe 60%. This is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. The skin tone on my model's face is now matching this skin tone here. Okay, let's proceed. Okay, she doesn't have the dark circles here, but let's just try to move the dark circles slider this side. This is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. Okay, let's just go down here. Here we have the face brighten. So if my model's face was a little bit dark, I can just move this slider to make it a little bit brighter. But I feel like my model's face is properly exposed, so I'm just going to reset this by double clicking on it like this. Let's just move to shine removal. I'm going to take it all the way to 100. So this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. I don't want my model's face to look flat. I want those highlights. So I'm going to reset the shine removal slider by just double clicking on it like this. So now let's retouch the eyes. So I'm going to click on this to open the eyes container, and then I'm going to go down here. So if I want to change the iris of my model's eyes, I can just go here, left click on it, and then select maybe this one here. So I can change this to maybe brown, or maybe green, or maybe mint, but I'm going to keep it the way it was. So I'm going to go back here, I'm going to left click on it, and then I'm just going to select original iris like this. I'm going to skip this one here, and then let me just zoom in a little bit like this. So redness removal slider, I'm going to drag it all the way to 100. So this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. If the effect is too much, you can just maybe take it to maybe 80%. This is the before, this is the after, and then I'm going to move to eyes whitening here. I'm just going to drag this eyes whitening all the way to 100% like this. This is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. So from here I'm going to make the eyes pop. So I'm going to go to this slider, eyes enhancement, then I'm going to take it to maybe 90%. This is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. Let me just zoom out a little bit. Like this. Let's make the teeth whiter. So I'm going to go to the mouth container here. I'm going to open it, and then I'm just going to, let me just zoom in a little bit. So I'm going to drag this slider, the teeth whitening. I'm going to drag it all the way to 100% like this. So this is the before, this is the after. So we have the teeth whitening and the teeth brightening. Let me just take it to 100% like this. So it's making the teeth brighter. I want it to look as realistic as possible, so I'm going to take this to maybe 25%. So this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. So down here we have the makeup container. Let me just open it. So I'm just going to leave everything here. The contour, I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to go to the highlights here. So I'm just going to add a little bit of the highlights. So let me just take this maybe to 100%. This is more like the dodge and burn, but I feel like this is too much. Just going to find the sweet spot. I think 10% is okay. This is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. On the feather here, if I take it this side, I'm just feathering the effect. Let me just take it to maybe 5. Just going to type 5 here. This is the before, this is the after. The eyeliner, I'm going to skip this. Let me just try to see what's going to happen if I add the glow here. So this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. I can't really see the difference. Let me just reset this by double clicking on it. I'm just going to move to the eyebrows enhancement here. I'm going to take it all the way to 100%. This is the before, this is the after. You can see here the effect is too much. Let me just take it to maybe 50%. Here the effect is still too much. Let me just take it to maybe 15%, like this. So this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. Okay, so let's move to the lips. On the saturation here, I'm going to take it to 100%. So the lips color has changed now. So this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. So let me just move to the tone here. If I take it this side, so as you can see, the color of the lips has changed. So this is the before, this is the after. So let me just take it down just a little bit to maybe 20%. This is the before, this is the after. The lips darkening, I'm going to take it maybe to 100%. It's too much. This is the before, this is the after. Let me just take it to maybe 50%. This is the before, this is the after. Okay, let me just reduce the saturation here to maybe 45%. This is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. So down here we have the body skin. Let me just open this. Okay, let me just zoom out a little bit like this. Let me take the body skin smoothening slider all the way to 100%. And then let me just zoom in a little bit. So this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. So I'm going to go to body skin color correction and try to make this skin tone match the skin tone on my model's face. So let me just drag it all the way to 100%. So this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. Okay, let me take it all the way to 60%. So this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. So if you want to remove these flyaway hair, you can just go on top here on this icon here. You can just left click on it, and then you can use the eraser tool or the clone stamp tool, whichever you want. So I'm going to use eraser tool here. I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller using the brackets on the keyboard like this, just the size of the hair that I want to remove here. And then I'm just going to paint on it like that, and then wait for Aperty to remove that. Then I'm going to paint the side like that. Okay, so you have to pay attention to this part. This is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. So I'm not going to remove all these. It's going to take time, but this is how you can remove these. So let's pretend I'm done removing all these. So I'm just going to click on save here like this. So from here, let me just zoom out like this. Okay, so this is the before, this is the after. So with just these sliders, no frequency separation, dodge and burn, or anything else, you can see how Aperty can save you time and still give you amazing and professional results. So if you want to try Aperty out, the link will be in the description below. Let's proceed. Let's color grade this image. I'm going to left click here on essentials here. And then from here, I'm just going to go down here, and then I'm going to open the color container here. I'm just going to click on this icon here. Okay, on the vibrance here, I'm going to take it to 30%. Okay, so this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. I'm going to go on the saturation here. I'm going to take it to maybe 2. I think 2 is okay. This is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. So I'm going to go to SHL. So I'm going to click here to change it from hue to saturation here. I feel like the skin tone is okay. So I'm going to skip the red, orange, and yellow. I'm going to go to the greens because I want to make adjustments to the background here. I'm going to drag the green this side. If I take it all the way to -100, I'm removing all the greens in the image. If I take it all the way to 100, I'm adding more of the greens in the image. I want my model to stand out. I want that to pop. Then I'm going to move to the cyan. If I take it all the way to 100%, so this is the before, this is the after. But I'm going to put it at maybe 30%. This is the before, this is the after. I'm going to move to the blues. If I take it to 100%, it's adding the blues even here. I don't want that. If I take it all the way to -100, I'm removing the blues from this image. So if you're going for this, you can just keep it at -100, but I don't want to really kill the blues. I want the blues to stand out just a little bit. So I think 15% is okay. And then this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. Our quizzes with just sliders. Here we have the black and white. I'm just going to skip the black and white. Let me just zoom in a little bit. If I feel like she's too orange, I can just reduce the orange here just a little bit like this, maybe -10 like this. This is the before, this is the after. I think I'm okay with this. I'm done. So what I'm going to do from here, I want these photos to look like this one here, the one I'm from editing. So what I can do from here, I can just click on copy here, or I can just right click on the image and then go to adjustments and then copy adjustments here like this. And then I'm going to select this image. I'm going to right click adjustments and then paste adjustments here. So Aperty is going to copy all the adjustments from this image and paste them to this image here. Our quizzes. So this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. So let me just select this image here. I'm going to right click on this image, adjustment, and then paste adjustments here. Okay, so this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. Let me just go to this one. If you can see this, it's just a little bit brighter. So this one is just a little bit underexposed. So what I can do to fix this, I can just go on top here. I'm going to add the exposure, just a little bit of the exposure. 0.2 is okay. And then the contrast, I'm going to add a little bit of the contrast, maybe 5 is okay. Just going to go down here and then I'm going to add a little bit of the saturation here. Maybe 5 is okay. This is the before, this is the after. We have the curves in Aperty. So I can just go on the curve here, open this container and then make a point in the middle of the curve here and push it up like this, and then make a point down here and push it down like this. Maybe this is too much. Let me just take it down just a little bit like this. So this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. Let me just close the curves here. From here, let me just take the highlight slider just a little bit, like maybe -15 is okay. So this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. Our quizzes. So once I'm done editing my images, I can just go on export here. Then I can just click on export. So if you want to try Aperty, you can download it using the first link in the video description below. So if you would like to see how I edited this same photo manually, you should check this video here.